know, it's quite difficult because, okay, to be quite honest, academically, it wasn't exactly what I expected to achieve. There were some mishaps that I needed to look over with some subjects, my music teacher, my German teacher. So there was a lot of anticipation, a lot of surprise, but say that the majority of them come from the music department, or the arts department in general. So the senior school musical, all the rehearsals for the ensembles like the choir, instant orchestra, concert band, samba band. I really enjoyed those. I enjoyed all the extracurricular stuff as well, the environmental society, leading all those kind of projects. It was also fun. It was a really interesting experience though, because we went into lockdown for the first time whilst we were well, in the second half of the year, and we were in Stone Student Council, and we were trying to find a way not only to cope with lockdown as a school, but then also as the, as a community outside of the academics and stuff. So we had to cancel a lot of the events that we had planned down to the T and stuff, and we had to readjust. But I honestly think it was a good experience for what it could have been. It could have been a lot worse. And it really forced the members of our community to try to think outside the box. And that's when we started coming up with making videos and doing these kind of online or digital campaigns and stuff that people really had to try to get involved with. And I had fun. I think that kind of launched or kickstarted a whole series of videos for the school by the Environmental Society or by Student Council. And now the main kind of medium over which people communicate at school effectively, I would say, is videos or montages or compilations. And I think it's kind of fun. It's really creative, and we wouldn't really have gotten there if it weren't for lockdown and the Student Council during the lockdown. ISB, I definitely need to credit it in that it has a lot of extracurricular opportunities. And if there's not already a club available for what you want to do, it grants you the opportunity to make it up yourself. It's always there to support you in the way, whatever way you want it to, and you can always reach out to a teacher, and always, it relies on students being proactive, which I think is a really good skill to have, because if you kind of piggyback off all the teachers or you wait for something to be done for yourself, you're not going to learn the skills that you need to do it later on in life. So I think it found a really nice medium between pushing you to do whatever you want, and then also being there to support you and help you achieve what you want to do. And I think the extracurricular program is great. Personally, I mean, that's been my experience, but it's been heavily gravitated towards the arts. Students are made, or student staff, everyone who works in the school is made very aware of what the goal is, and trying to connect or link the academic and the extracurricular to stuff that they're going to do outside of school and outside of Basel, outside of Switzerland, and try to, make everything work in conjunction with one another. It's not this isolated kind of education. You try to apply what you learn, or learn what you think you can apply in the future. I'd say, for example, in music, you are taught the skills of composition and of analysis, a bit of ethnomusicology, just little bits and bobs here and there. And the main goal is to learn how to apply those skills by yourself instead of just regurgitating information. So for example, in an exam, which we would normally have, we didn't have this year for music, you would hear a piece of music that you've never heard before. You don't know what's going to come up. It could be any genre, any time period, any length, and you have to write sort of this analysis on it on the spot. So you really learn to develop those quick skills, and you learn to develop the skills of how to play it, how to analyze it, how to write it. And I really enjoy that, because not only can you take it, then you can analyze what other people write and see what you like, but then you can also start using it and applying it elsewhere. So I would take skills that I learned in the classroom and apply them in the extracurriculars. For example, I liked writing, I wrote an arrangement of a vocal arrangement for SATB choir a cappella that we were going to do in the choir. Unfortunately, we couldn't because of COVID. And then I was doing another arrangement of a big band piece called Everybody Wants to Be a Cat. So that was for Tri-M, and you got to incorporate a bunch of brass and then strings and some piano and vocals and drums and really everything that you learned, but everything that you loved doing. Unfortunately as well, we couldn't do it because of COVID, but I got to apply the skills. And I didn't need to, but I wanted to. And it was fun being able to do that because I didn't need to rely on anyone else or, I can always ask people for help, but to be taught those skills and to be able to use them by myself is really fun, and it makes you see how much you've progressed and how much that learning has really helped you in what you want to do in the real world. There's some people I have to be very thankful for and that I remember extremely fondly at ISB, but since my my loyalty lies with the music faculty, I'd have to say Mr. Norris and Mr. Dubé. They were really sort of key to my whole education, my whole experience at ISB. And they really, changed the game for me. So we all help is probably hits closest to home with me. I think that applies not only to the faculty, the staff that always try to make things available to you when after school sessions are really catering to how you learn, but to other students. There's a whole there's a whole bunch of sources, extracurricular and academic and stuff, that reaches out and helps you achieve whatever you want to achieve and pushes you to be the best you can be. And I really value that, and I probably wouldn't have made it through the last 2 years if it wasn't for that kind of support system. What I loved when I first came to ISB was definitely, I think to sum it up in a word would be opportunity, because there's a lot of schools that offer magnificent, great education, and that's not to discredit them in any way. And there's a lot of schools that have really cool, different programs outside or clubs. But what astounded me about ISB is that it had everything, and then even the things it didn't have, it had the opportunity for them to grow or to start somewhere. So I knew that when I joined the school, I could really kind of do whatever I wanted to do. If I was really into, let's say, for example, sign language, I think that's a really cool example. ASL, I've always been interested in ASL. And a few years before I joined the school, I started learning a tiny little bit by myself online. And then when I came to ISB, I met a teacher, Miss Kelly, and somehow we got to talking, and then she told me that she signed and she knows ASL. So I asked her, oh, that's great, can you teach me? So we set up lessons during school times and little extracurricular times, and it started with just me. And then we invited a few friends in my grade who wanted to learn ASL as well. So they came every week and we learned. And I started growing and growing, and this year it's a fully fledged club now, and they teach each other, and the seniors that have learned it for a few years teach the younger ones. And you have the opportunity to learn something that's completely new, really, really cool. You can use it, which is incredible. I had the opportunity to use it when I was traveling a few years ago. Spontaneously, I didn't know I was going to use it, and it was great because I got to communicate with people that I wouldn't have otherwise. So I think the fact that you can do something that innovative, that cool, that international, global, whatever you want to call it, that quickly without having to rely on a bunch of other people elsewhere creating this program for you, I think that's really special. Or proactivism, I know, and determination and focus. I know that if I want to do something or get something done, I know I have the capability to do it and the skills to do it, and all I have to do is just get started on it, do it myself, self-reliance. And I think I'm also going to take a more holistic view of things. I realize the world is not as black and white as it seems, and you learn to play devil's advocate to your own opinion and see all the sides of the story. And I think that really helps when you're relating with other people, develops interpersonal skills, helps you as a person develop further. And I think for what I'm doing in the arts, it's really important to see or put yourself in someone else's shoes, someone who can be millions of kilometers, miles away. and
Mm.
still understand how they view the same experience that you're having.